welcome to Who Put This On, Season 3, Episode 16, where we watched Churchill's Secret Agents, The New Recruits. Season 1, Episode 1. I'm Chris Lorenz.
I'm Harrison Hoffman.
Robert Kitts.
Noah Singer.
Former President Harry Trumax.
Ooh.
How does that? Whatever.
It's World War II.
It fits.
Oh, okay, whatever. Harrison, hit me with a description.
In this history-steeped reality series, 14 contestants undergo the same rigorous selection process as Britain's top-secret World War II spies. Very short description from Netflix there.
Oh, yeah. By the way, it's on Netflix, so... all right, before we get into any of this, would you recommend people watching this episode before listening to the pod? Or, you know... I mean, we don't do it. We don't really do this, so... I don't know. Throw it a curveball.
I mean, I don't know that's necessarily required to watch the episode to hear us talk about this one.
You'll probably be more entertained watching an hour of this than an hour of listening to us.
Max, that's not what you're supposed to
say. Max.
It's opposite day, or is it?
Such a...
You need to say it's not opposite day.
Right, it's not opposite day.
Well, when you're at home, you can watch this. And
Or
when
is
you're
it?
driving, you can listen to us.
That's
right.
true.
I think our podcast can be enjoyed in all manner of forms, Chris.
Okay.
Anyway.
I would recommend it. You should watch it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have to give your full attention, but we'll get into that.
It was
No,
decent.
you probably should. I've learned actually you may want to give your full attention when watching this.
We'll get back to that.
We're gonna swing back to that one. Rob, what is the show?
So this show, which I think is kind of unique for at least what we've seen, is half a documentary about this program that went on in Britain during the Second World War to recruit people that could get airdropped into Europe to like do spy stuff behind the enemy lines. But to illustrate that, they also have 14 would-be social media influencers who are going through the same training they did back then. So you have the reality show mirroring the historical information.
Actually, we have watched a show very similar to that called Bromans.
Yes, this is just like Bromans. Thank you, Max.
No, it's not
man.
like that.
Such a faithful historical reenactment. Romans.
Doctore.
Would this show have been better with Doctor?
Yes.
All right. Noah,
Yes,
can
sir.
you give us the brief overview of this episode?
This episode, we meet everyone. It's the first episode. So it's a lot of laying the groundwork and the rules of how the show operates. So we meet the 14 contestants and we meet the 3 officers that are kind of the hosts, your Jeff Probst of the show. The chief host is a woman who was the highest ranking officer in the British military formerly, and she's now hosting the show. They refer to her as Mom or Ma. Hard to tell.
Is that true?
In the show they did.
I'm pretty sure they were just saying ma'am.
I think it was
Mum.
M-U-M.
Yeah,
Mum.
probably Mum.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
British version of ma'am.
Got it.
Mom. And so they kind of run the show, give out what the games are. We learn a little bit about everyone's personality, and then they go through certain obstacles, whether mental or physical, to see which of the 14 contestants will actually make it to the real training. So the first episode is kind of like a weed out before they get into the real training. The SOE, which is this army unit that they had in World War II, would encounter.
What does SOE stand for?
Special Operations
Executive.
Executive. Thank you.
Like, are they people SOEs or like...
I think it's both.
The executive is the, like...
The
Yeah, I don't
organization.
know. Yeah, I was going to say the organization, but I was trying to make a joke, and it just didn't come.
Yeah, the show is just kind of, it starts out very documentary-esque. They're like, yeah, there's this like World War II bombs. They're showing videos of bombs and like Churchill declaring this thing, this SOE, like describing what this SOE thing is for like the good like 5-10 minutes before anyone actually really shows up. And then it's just like, yeah, we're putting these people through this random tests this whole episode.
I think it like stayed pretty faithful to, you know, sort of the setup of, hey, here's what the SOE recruits had to deal with. Now we're going to put these people through it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's random tests because clearly it's.
I
based
meant
on-
like the SOTE tests were also random. Like,
it was just testing a bunch of different miscellaneous things. So there's, you know, they're kind of all. It's a hodgepodge.
yeah.
And it's like it seemed like back in the day they basically turned this into like a program that you could just take it and run it out of like wherever. So they had this whole like syllabus with like, here's what all the different tests are, and here's how you train the people, and here's the stuff that you look for. Like they definitely almost kind of like franchised this training program. Like
It definitely seemed like the program was designed so like anyone could administer this
Yeah.
test. Like not anyone could pass the test.
I mean,
but like
like-
anyone could like administer to see if people would win or not.
yeah, and it totally makes sense with like how much they had to scale up their efforts here. Like they had to be able to do this kind of thing. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. So the first test that we see is they're sitting in a room like a classroom, and they're given like this map of a building, and they're told, "Hey, you have 20 minutes. Examine this map of this building, and then we're gonna ask you questions afterwards." And the classic ones in the middle of this, like people barge in with like, you know, firing blanks and like run through the room, and then they ask questions not about the building but about this encounter that they like had in the room. And it was really funny because one guy like goes under the table immediately.
Mr. Paul Stone, who we're going to talk about a
was that
bunch.
Mr. Paul Stone?
It was
definitely
Paul Stone.
And he couldn't answer any of the questions because he was under the table.
And then they like interview him about this, and it's like, yeah, it's a real shame I couldn't answer everything because there I was under the table.
Not a good look for Paul Stone.
Not a great look.
Who is the black woman?
Kamara.
Kamara also did not do great on this test.
No, she did not.
No.
I don't really remember exactly why. I just remember them talking about, like, this is the one thing I really don't like about this is they showed all this and then they showed the judges talking about it. Like, we just saw it. Like, if you're gonna have the judges talk about it, them talk about it. Like, I don't know what's a good way to do it, but either later or during instead of like afterwards, because we just saw it.
I mean, the other option is like the pickup artist, where there's like a hidden camera situation, and they're in some other room discussing it in real time.
No, I mean, you don't have to do it like that conspicuous, but you can have them up in the like PIP maybe, like
Yeah.
talking about, oh yeah, she didn't do great.
I like that they did that because they cleanly wrap up each game. And it made
Yeah.
the show move fast.
I feel like you can do this better by like, okay, you see like Paul Stone do bad, and then while the judges are talking, you like picture in picture like other people and what their reactions are, instead of just being like, oh, we just saw that, so now let's talk about it.
Yeah.
I was actually surprised we didn't see it, have them talk about it, and then we saw a replay. So I was actually pleasantly surprised that it wasn't too repetitive.
Yeah,
Yeah, they didn't. The normal reality show cliches that we see were definitely not there. This was probably the biggest.
It's worth
one.
calling out that this is a British show. It's one of these fake Netflix originals that was created by the BBC, and then Netflix paid to put it on Netflix and slap Netflix original on it.
100%.
And so some of the British reality sensibility definitely comes out in the way that they edit it.
I mean,
Yeah.
the pacing of the show is really good. Like they definitely cover a lot of ground in this episode. Like, I mean, they're running through they're covering a lot of history. Like
There's definitely a point where we're like, are they actually going to eliminate anyone this episode? Because it seems like they got a lot to get through, and they did it, and it ended with kicking some people who couldn't cut it out, which we'll get to.
Yeah, for a 45-minute show, like comparing a show that's supported by ad content versus a show that doesn't have to worry about it, like the pace is so much better, right? Of all they pack in.
We had the same conclusion from Great British Baking Show, where like it moves, and they get a full elimination every episode.
Well, also documental, which also is not a.
Oh
a
man,
great show,
I should go
also
watch
is-
some more
Is
documental.
is moving. Where this show's only 5 episodes, so like, it's moving. There's like they're trying to make a point here. So like, it's half a documentary. So like, they only have the documentary like for as much as content they have for that. Plus, this reality show is just kind of like a thrown in. I feel like as to give an excuse for people to watch the documentary instead of actually watch the reality show.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I actually think it's kind of the opposite. I think that people get hooked on the reality show and they end up learning a bunch of stuff by accident. Like,
You highly overestimate people, Chris.
I just feel like you're not gonna have a season 2 of this.
no, you definitely
Because so like, what's the point of getting people hooked on the reality show piece if you're not going to be able to continue making money on more seasons of the reality show?
Are you sure they're not going to do a season?
Yeah, I think there could be a season 2. It depends what actually happened to that unit.
it would have to be about some other secret training program.
All right, let's
They're
talk about this
like-
later. Let's talk about this later. Let's
Yeah,
go.
we'll come back to that.
Let's go to the next challenge, or unless people have minutia about challenge 1. Or
There was some
pre-challenge
there
one.
was some minutia, I think, prior to challenge 1.
Yeah, if you want to bring up minutia before challenge 1.
Yeah, so they gather everyone in like one of the living rooms in his house. So they're staying in like a big mansion in Scotland. They gather everyone in the living room. There's like a pool table, and they say, "You're on the show. We're gonna be watching you the whole time. Have fun." And they kind of put everyone on guard that they're not just watching them to progress based on their abilities in the games. It's 24/7. We are monitoring you and judging you. Good
It's
day.
like how reality shows should actually be.
Yeah, but like that was just something like to clarify for people, right? So it's not just the games they're being judged on.
I did think that one of the weird things about that though is that we didn't really get a big view into what they were doing when they weren't doing the challenges. Like I think I commented during the show, there's almost zero house drama, quote unquote house drama in this show.
Yeah.
The house drama that we see is like everyone just being like, yeah, we did really good. Like, I can't believe
Yeah.
we did this. Like, you did really good. Like, complimenting other people and like just being really positive about this whole experience, which is definitely something we don't normally see.
Yeah. One other piece of minutia, pre-first challenge minutia, like when it should be said when like the show starts, this show is a very different look visually from a lot of other reality shows that we watch. All of the contestants of the show are all dressed up like they're in World War II era, so like the show looks really cool and like they definitely like the costume works good.
I did like that they made them dress up in like 1940s clothes.
Yeah.
To only have them change into uniforms when they got there.
Yeah.
That was like a nice little unnecessary touch I enjoyed.
But it's still it's those 1940s style uniforms. Like I mean
Yeah.
it kind of looks historical even though it's modern.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which-
It does kind of, I like watching people around with suits. Like everyone's just walking around in suits, and I thought it looked nice that everyone was kind of dressed up.
oh, definitely.
The suits.
Do you think that the period correct fashion excuses Noah for thinking this was a full-on documentary?
No,
Should we talk about that?
I
Let's
did not
talk
think it
about
was a
that.
full-on documentary. I thought it was a historical reenactment rather than a reality like,
Okay.
game show.
Okay.
And now, actually watching an episode in full, I know what I actually did. So I was at home. My
Yeah.
dad put this on. I think like the first 5 minutes,
Who
I was
put
like,
this on? Noah's dad.
my dad. What I could tell, because I definitely didn't see all this content, I think I watched it for the first 5 minutes. Then like I went away for like 20 minutes, and then I came back when he built the boat.
Okay.
And so it was, so you could see that like in that position, it's a little unclear. Like, is this a game show or reality or a reenactment?
Yeah.
I definitely felt like the first like 10, 15 minutes, I could definitely see you thinking this is more a
Yeah.
documentary than a reality show.
Yeah.
But as it starts going, it's definitely way more reality when they start judging people and putting like, yeah, this person's terrible, get them out of here. Like, and when they're doing stuff like that, it definitely makes it, and they're definitely not scripted. These aren't actors. So,
Your situation is far more understandable now.
Thank you.
so then the second challenge was,
making toys.
it was making toys. That's right. They had like little-
Meccano.
Shitty proto connects.
Yeah.
and they had 3. They were given enough to make 3 different models. Some of that, one was really easy, and I guess then they got progressively harder.
The easiest one was like a little bench. The hardest one was like a little airplane. I don't remember what the middle one
It
was.
was
So
a
they-
slide.
A slide. That's
yeah.
right.
They never showed anyone making the
Right.
second one.
Yeah, and they just showed one guy making the plane.
Yeah.
because he was the only one that did it.
The maths major.
The man with the most
Stanley.
British name, Alistair Stone.
Alistair Stanley.
Alistair
yeah.
Stanley.
Alistair Stanley is much more British than Alistair Stone.
I think this is the challenge that really got that black woman to like get off the show.
Kamara.
I can never remember anyone's names. It's not.
I keep thinking of just the car Camaro.
I keep thinking of the guy from Queer Eye.
Yeah.
I keep
What's
thinking
his
of the
name?
word camera.
What's the name of the guy from Queer Eye again, Chris?
I don't know.
Isn't it Camaro?
Oh, it's Camaro with an O.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Oh, that's why I'm thinking of the car, I guess. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, there's not a lot to talk about that challenge. There wasn't anything special about it.
Well,
Yeah.
they definitely used it to call out Alistair, that he's leaps beyond everyone else as far as like engineering intellect.
Yeah.
I mean, they called it out. I don't know if that's why they did the challenge.
That's not why they did it, but
Well,
why
they
they
didn't spend a lot of airtime on the challenge. They were
Yeah.
just like, it's not that interesting. Alistair killed it. Kamara didn't. Moving on.
right. Like
What
that's
was it?
that's what the producers wanted to get out of it for the audience, right? It's like, hey, we're gonna start giving you some like identity traits of these people.
And then the next challenge,
Trees.
they were doing an obstacle course, right?
Oh, yeah. Man, there were a lot of challenges.
Yeah, so they're doing this obstacle course, which is they had to like walk across a log, go under some barbed wire, go over a wall. I think those are the only ones we saw. I think there was more to it, but we didn't really see it.
Yeah.
We saw them just sort of like one of they're randomly running past some ropes and stuff. It wasn't really clear. Like the ones they focused on was the log. There's one where they're like going through a hole in a wall too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were 3 sets of walls.
There was the log, there was
Yeah.
the barbed wire, and then there were various climb over walls in different
Yeah,
forms
they-
that ended with literally just a 10-foot wall you had to climb over.
Yeah, they'd like hop over like a little hole, and then they had to climb up a rope,
It's not,
like
it's not important.
a rope
It's
tic
not
tac toe thing.
important.
Pretty standard army obstacle course.
Pretty standard. It seems like the one guy didn't have a leg, so he didn't do.
Well,
No,
He-
no.
he's
a fake leg. Sorry.
He has a fake leg.
Sorry.
It's not the same as not having a leg.
He didn't have a
He-
leg.
He wasn't hopping
If you- yeah,
down
if
this
you-
obstacle course.
If you don't have a leg, you generally get a fake one.
Sure.
Do
But we
people-
should differentiate between hopping.
My bad, guys. He had a fake leg, so he didn't do the log thing, but he was able to go over the 10-foot wall, which most people couldn't go over.
Yeah.
Which I thought that was pretty impressive. And then there was is anyone else used like notable?
Jeffries.
Jeffries, the
Jeffries.
5-foot tall woman who's pretty good. And she also managed to get over the wall.
And then there was one woman that got kicked out because she didn't go under the barbed wire because she thought it was going to get caught in her hair.
Which, that's legit.
I mean,
But you're on this
is it,
reality
though?
show,
Yeah. Like, you should know you're getting kicked off, but it's also legit.
like I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not going to do this.
She should have made up some other excuse. There were a bunch of people that skipped obstacles. She could have made up a better excuse than I was worried it was going to get caught in my hair.
I almost wonder if that was like a ill-timed joke. It's like, it's like, oh, why didn't you do the barbed wire? Oh, I might get my hair caught. And like, that wasn't actually her reason. And then the
Yeah.
instructors could be like, she was worried about getting caught in her hair. What is her deal?
She just didn't want to do it, essentially.
I wonder if she had a different reason and just gave like not a flippant response that doomed her.
I mean, she was doomed. And then the next challenge was the
Trees?
trees, right? Yeah.
the rope thing.
Yeah.
So they hung like, I guess, 2 ropes between 2 trees, and you would hold on the top, and your feet would be on the bottom, and you'd go across. There was a low one and a high one, and
I don't think anyone took the low one.
they didn't
to it.
show anyone taking the low one,
Yeah.
but we don't know if anyone did or not.
I feel like they would have showed it.
Well, they said in the show, like, So the whole thing is you get a choice between whether you're going to go across the low rope or the high rope. But like back in the day in the program, if anyone chose the low rope, you're auto eliminated.
To be fair, it's a low pair and a high pair.
Sure.
You know,
Yeah,
for the audio visual thing.
Yes.
And they all had safety harnesses, whereas like back in the day they wouldn't have.
Yeah, that's the key thing. Back in the day, when you're choosing, do you want to go with the low rope or the high rope? You got no safety harness. You go with that high rope, and you're like, you got to be, pretty sure you're not going to fall off that rope.
There's some real stakes.
This is some Dark Knight Rises challenge here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they made a big deal about Kamara not like having afraid of heights at some point, and she does the top rope, which
she
was some sort of big moment for her.
Well, she was
apparently.
super bad at the obstacle course, and she kept talking about like she had to like jump off something that was like 4 feet tall, and it took her like a minute to psych herself up to do it. And then so they're like, Kamara, like if she can't get that top rope, like she's done. We just got to like instantly boot her. But then she did it, and then she like needed a moment after she was so like overwhelmed by herself.
Yeah, I think that's the only thing notable about that.
Yeah.
And then the last challenge was they split up into two groups, and they had to go in the middle of a pond. I thought they all had to go to the middle of the pond as that they described and get some sort of thing that was in the middle and then come back. It was some sort of radio.
Yeah,
And they were,
that part was a little unclear by the end.
For sure.
And so like immediately in front of them, there's just like some barrels and like
Barrels,
some, like,
rope, and logs.
and logs. So you're implied that you're supposed to make some sort of raft.
Yeah.
And the first group goes through, makes this raft, this, I guess passable raft, and makes it like almost to the center thing, and then they all like somebody moves and they all fall in.
It was very carefully balanced.
Yeah.
And these people are taking forever because they've got like one paddle, or they had two, but we only see one. Just like slowly going to the middle of this pond.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't believe that thing got as far as it did. When I looked at it, I'm like, there's no way that's going to fit 6 people on it.
7.
7 people.
And that's what the instructors said too. They were like, in the end, they got pretty far, even though they didn't even though they ended up sinking and having to like swim to shore.
Yeah.
I guess the biggest difference between Group 1 and Group 2 is Group 1's leader
Yeah, we should talk
actually
about the-
took charge and like did, I guess, a decent job of making this makeshift like raft.
So it's interesting that they like one of the things they did is they picked someone to be the leader, and like it wasn't a choice amongst the team. The instructors decided, and it was a test of that person that they had some questions about to see like how's their leadership skills. And the first guy, even though their boat sunk, they thought he did a good job of like taking charge and getting them organized.
And then Group 2, while this is happening, is like discussing, what happens if they like let us choose who the leader is? Who are we going to choose? So they like choose some guy. I don't remember his name.
Rob,
Copley.
the guy with no leg.
Okay. Rob?
I think his name was Rob.
Rob?
Copley. Rob Copley.
It was not Rob. That's someone else.
Rob.
So as they get out there, they choose some other woman to be the leader. And she just
The
can't-
instructors choose the
The
woman.
instructors choose another woman, and she just can't kind of take charge. Other people are like giving out ideas and like kind of taking charge.
Well, I wonder how much their attempt to gain an advantage by pre-selecting their leader actually hurt them, because Rob was definitely still trying to take some charge and throw some ideas out there. And would he have done that if they hadn't sort of pre-discussed that he was probably going to be the leader?
I think it's reasonable for the leader to ask for ideas from everyone. Like, what should we do? What do you think? And then like the leader's just the person that has to pick the thing we're gonna do.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, it was weird because like Rob was the one who said to the group before the thing, it's like, hey, like once we pick a leader, like everyone just has to listen to that person and just like be able to kind of take orders basically. And then immediately he just steps in and just starts ordering everyone around. Like,
Dude, that's leadership.
That is leadership.
yeah.
And then the one guy was like, he ran around the whole pond and he found like some sort of pre-made raft.
Alistair Stanley.
Alistair Stanley.
The mathlete.
He's also the track guy. He was also I think he was
Yeah.
the track guy.
He said he can run a mile and a half in 6 minutes and 45 seconds.
That sounds like
He said
bullshit.
pretty fast.
he said he could change and run a mile and a half in 6:45, which I don't think he can.
I don't think he can run a mile and a half in 6:45. Period.
I'm just like, is he factoring in that was one of the random questions they asked him.
Yeah.
That was part of my minutia.
Yeah, insanely fast.
I mean, like that's
That's like 15 miles per hour.
That's like a 4 minute something mile. Like that's real fast.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, people do it.
people do it. Like professional.
Actually, wait, that's a 4-minute 30-second mile.
Yeah.
That seems way too fast for a mile and a half.
bonkers. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna judge the guy. I haven't seen him run, so
I mean, maybe he's a world class runner.
Are you guys familiar with the beer run?
No.
Okay, so you do 4 laps around a track, and every time you do a full lap, you just crush a new can of beer.
Oh boy.
I've heard of it.
And somebody broke the 5-minute barrier in like 2004 or something, and now it's like a whole thing to get some lower and lower times.
So it's a full mile, and you got to drink 4 beers.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if
I had a
4.
friend that was in some sort of running group, running/drinking group that would do that, like set that up.
So a little internet corner.
Okay.
The fastest 2 miles ever ran,
Yeah.
8 minutes 4 seconds.
8.
Dude, was it Alistair?
Yeah, it must. Have.
Yeah. The fastest mile is pretty steep. 3 minutes 43 seconds.
Yeah,
It's
but
like-
that guy couldn't keep that pace for a mile and a half, though. That's the thing.
Right. That's why like there's a big step up in that 8 minutes 4
Yeah.
second for 2 miles. Seems unlikely that guy's an Olympic
Unless
runner.
that guy's on Team Great Britain for long distance running.
Yeah. That's gonna come back and bite him in the ass, I think.
Could be.
All right, guys.
All right. Off of
I
running.
think we're done with this minutia. So they find this. So this is what we're kind of confused about. So they find this other raft, and they just go to the center and bring back the radio. But
2
we
of
were-
them did.
Yeah, we were under the impression that everyone had to go out.
So here's the thing: the voiceover said something like, I can't remember the exact wording. But it was like they took turns and brought everything back. So I wonder if they didn't show it, but they actually like made all these different trips to get everyone out there and get everyone back and bring the radio back, and they just didn't show any of that.
Because they realized that it couldn't hold enough people.
I'm surprised that they didn't like time lapse that.
Yeah, like if that was good, you just need to show like 1 second of like 10 shots in a row of just like different people on it, and then you're like, okay, they just took turns. And then but
Then
they
that makes
said
sense.
it.
and or like even a picture of all of them on, like in the middle, and then like all of them at the end in the shore. Like
Yeah.
it's very weird because like they said the rules, so we're like, wait, they didn't do any of that.
They said the rules and they said something about them taking turns, but didn't show any of it. It's very strange.
So, in the show, they explain that back in the day, in the real training, they used to do this thing too, where they would hide the extra raft somewhere else and see if anybody was smart enough to find it. Like, do you think that's really what happened, or do you think that somebody just fucked up and left a raft there that they?
know,
This totally seems like this is the real way to win the challenge is you find the raft.
Yeah.
It's
If you're
all about
smart
those
enough.
mind games.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely seems like this is what they would do.
If not, that was a real well thought out thing to cover it up by them, because like
Yeah.
it totally seems legit.
No,
for
it
sure,
has
for
to be.
sure.
It was made out of the same material. Like,
Yeah.
who's making rafts out of barrels?
The day before, a producer was like, "Let me test this out."
Yeah, it's
Made
like
a
like,
raft.
like let's make sure you can actually make a
Wait,
raft out of this.
they needed a
stuff.
raft to get the stuff out to the middle in the first place. They had the raft for that. They're like, "Oh no, we still have it in the
No, it's
water."
still there. Quick, gloss over the rest of the part of this challenge.
Gloss over the historical record of how this challenge works.
And then like after this challenge, they just kind of put everyone back in the classroom, and then select 10 people.
Well, so something that was interesting was that they asked them all to sort of pick
I forgot about
pick
this.
2 people that you'd want to go like into battle with. Pick someone you could make your leader, and pick the person you would leave behind. And then they have to stand up and tell the class which one they picked for all of them, which is pretty intense.
Yeah. You think they did that back in the day?
Oh, 100%.
Hell yeah.
What
Yeah.
like how are you gonna like make these people work together with people that are like, yeah, I don't want to I want to leave you behind, Rob, and then force you to work with me? There's no way.
That's part of the challenge. You gotta be able to suck that up, and if you can't, you get cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had that doctor on the show who was the leading historian of the SOE to make sure they did everything properly.
Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pep.
Gotta trust the process.
I believe
Trust the
so.
process, Noah.
I believe so.
You know, I was getting some very moly vibes from this whole show, and especially in this part at the end where they're having to write like who their favorite and least favorite people are. They definitely do that kind of stuff in the mole.
Yeah.
Some young Vanderbilt action.
Yeah, little young Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a surprise, as we didn't really talk about.
We got to get back to talk about Paul Stone
Yeah, I
a
was
little
just
bit.
talking about Paul Stone. This is what I was trying to get to,
Yeah.
but I couldn't remember his name. Because Paul Stone is pretty much not in any of these challenges because he got a migraine.
He's in some of them. That's I couldn't remember which he was in, which he wasn't.
He was in the
I think he was in the raft challenge.
He was not in the raft challenge.
He was not in the raft
No,
I
challenge.
don't think so.
He was not in the raft
You could definitely tell from the beginning that he was not cut out for this show. Like his title is listed as entertainer. It's
Yeah.
the first thing that you see. You're like, okay, and then the first testimonial with him, he's like, yeah, I was in the bus on the way here, and the two guys on either side of me were both insane army dudes, and I have no idea what's going on here. And then it just continues, like he's freaked out by the gunfire.
He's hiding under the desk.
Hiding under the desk.
And then he keeps missing things because he got all these migraines.
the migraines.
I think he misses like the second half of the day, which was, I think he makes it through the like building tool set thing, and like that's it.
Oh man,
I don't think he was anything after that.
I thought he was in the raft. Anyway, but like, it's like he's got the first migraine, and the guy's just like, "Does this happen a lot?" He's like, "No, it hasn't happened as much lately. Like, I think this is the first one in 3 years. It's just real terrible timing." And then they talk that he's got a second one later. It's like, oh, Paul.
He's having a time.
So he missed the thing to call out who you'd keep and who you'd leave behind because he was in his bed having a migraine.
So he was just the obvious one to just be like, yeah, I wouldn't take him.
So like, so a lot of people said Paul Stone, and a lot of people said Kamara, or the two who got a lot of they're getting left behind.
Yeah.
One person did say
Dan.
Dan
Dewhurst.
Dewhurst.
He was like the leader and like one of the top candidates. He was like really full of himself. He just did not like that he would be left behind.
Yeah, he did not take kindly to that. But that's the thing, like the leaders are super concerned that he's like a guy with too much personality. So that's why they gave him the leadership challenge. They're like, oh, he actually did pretty good with it.
Well, on the question where they had to write down who they
yes.
picked to be their leader on a mission, he said myself.
Oh.
So
Such a move.
that's a real power move right there.
I feel like
I
that
think that's-
disqualifies you.
I think that sums him up perfectly.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the thing, like it's like the leadership team could have been like, yeah, this guy's got to go for doing that, but they're like, oh well, maybe he's got to back it up.
In 1940, he's done.
I think in 1940 they're like, yeah,
This dude's in the actual army and he's out of this program. Like he's not like. There's no way you drop him in Poland and be like, yeah, not have that English accent and like, try to blend in. He's not blending in anywhere.
I think
well,
you
that's
need,
what the person said.
yeah, like you want people with extreme talents, right, or extreme skills.
No, you want somebody to be able to like go in, blend in, and like coerce people and like recruit people.
You're assuming every mission is the same. Like I'm saying, there's probably an array of missions that need different skill sets, and because he seems extreme on like affability and being loud, he might be useful in some of the things they need to do. Maybe they need to cause a distraction somewhere. He'd be
Like
good for
he's the
that.
guy who like goes in the bar and chats someone up and pickpockets them or something like that.
Bingo. Yeah.
I don't know.
I still think he should just be fine in like the regular army. He doesn't need to be in this special program.
Maybe not the special program.
Well, we're gonna see if he makes the cut. He might not make it.
He made the cut for week 1 though.
He did.
I
Yeah.
was surprised they cut 4 people. I thought they were just going to cut Kamara and Paul Stone and call it a day. Be like easy first round. But no, they.
Well, the thing is, this isn't like a traditional reality show. So
It's
like,
not
do you-
American.
So do you think that they had like a number of people they wanted to cut?
Didn't seem like
Yeah.
it.
That-
Do you think they wanted to cut 4 people?
it's a nice even number. I'm going to say yeah.
So you think they cut 3? You're like, oh, they didn't have.
If they cut 3, I'd be like, what the fuck's going on?
Oh, they have 11 people going forward. But I
But,
mean, it's not unreasonable.
The way they set up the premise of the SOE, it wasn't that they needed to fill a quota. It was who's qualified, and they'll take whoever's qualified.
But this back in the day in 1940, I'm sure they were taking whoever's qualified. If you're setting up a reality TV show and you've got challenges set up for the next day that you planned for 10 people, you might be like, let's just keep 10 people.
Yeah.
If you like put them through, you're like, man, there's only 2 people that are qualified. We got no show if that's the case. Put through 10 people. Like, yeah.
Yeah. They definitely. So, like, back in the day, they wouldn't have picked ex-army people to be in this program. Where it's like, there's definitely ex-army people.
Maybe they will
on
have.
the
I don't
show.
know how it works.
You're
Well, the
ex-army,
army's
you're
fighting.
just in the army
Yeah,
at this point.
You'd be a current army person.
But maybe if you're like, I'm in the current army, but I want to apply for this like special thing, if you're good enough, they're like, sure. Upgrade.
The way they made this documentary made it seem like this is definitely like a side project of Churchill's that no one thinks going to go anywhere. Like the Navy's like, yeah, we're not going to give you any like we don't have time for this shit. We're fighting the Germans here. I don't know what you're doing, but
Yeah, the
we don't
Navy
have time for this.
leadership wasn't part of it, but like some random person in the Navy maybe could apply for this thing. I don't know.
that doesn't matter.
Let's build a time machine and go find out.
One minutia thing about the show, very different than reality shows. There's no suspense music.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that, but
There's
now that you
no
mention
gong.
it-
Yeah, there's when like they're about to say the name, like the, like
Yeah.
the.
Yeah.
I was like, they didn't even like announce names of people leaving. There's like they read off names and like, you people go with this person, and then there's 4 still sitting there. Like, you guys are cut. See ya.
Very military.
And everyone
skin.
was so happy. Like they got cut and they're like, yeah, I had a fun time. Kind of I'm upset, but I had,
Paul Stone said he is aching. He's had 2 migraines. He feels
Migraines.
terrible, and it was the best time of his life.
My God.
What has that guy's life been like?
Do you think that Paul Stone is related to Bachelor superstar Jack Stone?
I really hope so. Are they like distant cousins, or are they like twins separated at birth?
Oh, I hope twins separated at birth. One grew up in America, one grew up in the UK.
Anybody want to join my Migos cover bands? Migraines?
So they kick off 4 people, 3 of them women.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of there's a lot of women in the show, but they focus a lot on the men and then very negatively on the women most of the time.
Except Jeffries. Jeffries, they gave a lot of props to.
Yeah.
And then they
But,
have
like-
Debbie. They don't really give her a lot of attention. She's the older woman, and she went on.
Oh,
There's
yeah. No, she's still in.
Padoise or something.
Yeah.
Persian sounding name.
Yeah, exactly. The one who voted for the loud guy to be kicked
Yeah.
off.
Yep.
I guess just recap in case it wasn't clear. They kicked off Kamara. They kicked off Paul Stone. They kicked off the lady that didn't want to get her hair messed up in barbed wire. And they kicked off the woman who was the leader for the
Right.
second rafts.
That didn't do a very good job of being a
WRIGHT.
leader.
Right.
But which was the only team that successfully completed the mission.
Ironic.
Yeah, I don't really understand why she was kicked off. Like, I can understand not being that great of a leader.
But this is, I think the 2 people they picked for the leadership things are things that they had questions about them and wanted to sort of put them through this extra test. And so I think it was a sign she was on the bubble. And when she didn't do a good job of the leadership, and they're like, all right, that's it.
I think they just needed to kick 4 people off, and they needed this the 4th person.
Might have been that.
So do you think back in the day for this program, there was only these like 4 or 5 tests, and that was it?
We said it's a 4-day ordeal. So I think there's more to come.
Well, no, these people are now supposedly qualified. Now they're going to go train.
Well, they're going to kick people off at various steps.
Yeah,
but
I'm sure. Like the show's going to kick people off.
I bet the first 4-day training was more than we saw.
Well, this is just.
But
like,
we
to see
also
if you-
don't know if we saw everything they did.
Yeah, they didn't actually. They didn't say that.
Like they said it was 4 days, and like compared to what we talk about, well, how much you could film on a reality show, like you didn't need to take 4 days to do that. So they could have done more things, or maybe it didn't actually take 4 days. You know?
It seemed like all this happened in one day.
It could have been.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How did Paul Stone have 2 separate migraines if it was all in one day?
Because there was a
Oh,
migraine for this one, and there was a migraine for the next thing.
I think it may have been 2 days. I don't know why I think that, but yeah.
I mean, why have that big mansion if you're not going to have them stay?
They showed them like having breakfast one day, so it's definitely a 2-day situation, I think.
This thing's moving for a 2-day
Yeah.
ordeal. You think people are just too tired after doing the obstacle course?
I don't know.
I mean, it does take quite a bit of time for 14 people to go through an obstacle course.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Do you think you would have done well on this, Harrison?
Yeah, I think I would have done pretty well in this. I think that the kinds of things that they did in the first episode, I'd probably be pretty good at. I don't think that I'm a good long-term candidate 'cause I don't think I'm deceptive enough to be a spy. But I think that I probably could have done well on the first stuff.
There is one minutia thing we didn't really talk about. Is at some point they were given an interview and they were asked, would you be able to murder someone? And
I don't know if they said murder, but
They said kill.
Yeah.
Sorry.
If-
Not murder.
If you saw there was some sort of warehouse or something and there was a local gendarme guarding it, would you kill them?
so good.
Harrison, what's your answer?
Oh boy, that's probably gonna be a no from me. But there were some people on the show that said yes.
if you were on the show, would you say no or yes?
Oh, man.
Clearly the answer is no.
it's probably still no on the show.
So they're just gonna kick you out.
I don't think
They don't kick out
necessarily.
everybody who said no. Alistair Stanley said no.
Like Noah said, variety of different things that you could be doing in this
You're
spy
definitely
agency.
gonna have to
No,
kill
no.
people.
This is the thing, Chris. Alistair Stanley rolls in day one. He's like, no, I won't kill someone. But he's got all these skills. And then you're like, okay, this guy's great. We just have to break him down until he's ready to kill.
I guess
and then
that's it.
you make that happen. But then Jeffrey is like, oh, people might not think this is bad, but yes, 100%.
I mean,
without hesitation.
it gets kind of weird because me going on the reality show and them asking me if I would kill somebody in some military operation, I would say no. But if you are in the 1940s and the Germans are bombing London and you're going there to this program, maybe the situation is a little bit different.
I feel like the right answer is no, but I feel like if I trained, I could, instead of just being a flat no or yes. Because I think potentially yes, but if I had to do that right now, no. I've no training, not mentally, not physically, to be able to murder, kill anyone.
Yeah.
I think that's a good answer.
Yeah.
Good job, Chris. You passed.
There's a lot more mentality, I think, than physicalness to that kind of question.
Oh, yeah.
To being able to do something like that.
No question. Yeah.
Rob, do you think you would pass this?
I'm not good enough shape. The physical stuff would get me.
I don't think they really did anything all that physical.
I'm definitely not getting over that wall.
Yeah, but
but not
half
everyone.
the people.
No one made it over the wall.
No one did.
3 people made it over the wall.
You wouldn't shine there, but they kept saying, hey, everybody had enough points, and then they just did the
You
wall
only
anyway.
needed to get out through 4 of the obstacles. Can you crawl under barbed wire?
You could definitely get that done.
What about my
Yeah.
hair? Well, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know. Rob, Noah, or Max, Noah.
I would probably do okay on everything except the physical.
Yeah.
Noah, you got an answer for us?
I feel like I would do well, except on the mechanical one, the building the bench thing.
Tough one.
Yeah, that one unsure about.
Would you hide under your desk when the gunman ran in?
No, I could try to tackle the gunman.
Ooh.
It seems like this is about to be a really great recurring thing in the show. Because it happened again at the end of the show. That
It's such a great that's what they left us on.
it's just it. So they already had this experience in the classroom where these dudes ran in with fire and blanks, and then at the very end of the show, it seems all right, it's time to start your real training. Another couple of guys come in and just firing assault rifles at them.
But this time it's from behind. They're standing in a line
Yeah.
facing the instructor. Then suddenly from behind, people are just firing machine guns behind them with no
these
warning.
people are going to be so on edge the whole time they're
Yep.
there.
Oh, it's great.
That might be our photo.
I do think that would be my weakest, that memory part in the beginning. I don't think I would have done great on that.
Yeah, that's easy to. I can see that scoring up.
Yeah.
Harrison,
Yeah.
you got your ranking.
Yeah. So I think that this is a top third show for me. I mean, this is, you said it's only 5 episode season. I'm definitely gonna go watch the rest of this on Netflix. Like, I think that the history is definitely interesting, and it kind of adds another layer to it that we don't usually get with a lot of these reality shows. The history is really good. The actual reality competition is pretty good. I think that one thing that I'm a little bit unsure about, we haven't talked about yet, I don't know what the stakes are.
There are no stakes.
So that gets a little bit weird on the motivation for some of these people, especially as this competition gets a little bit harder. But, top third.
We can get into that before other people's rankings. It's like, you're right, there are no stakes. It definitely seems like people are just like lollygagging and like just like, oh, we're here to have fun, and like whereas like other reality shows, there's like money involved, so like they actually really try really hard.
It seems like people are taking it seriously, but they're not getting competitive with each other yet, I think.
I don't like. There's definitely people where they're definitely taking it seriously, and then there's other people where I'm like, yeah, they're out, out on a Sunday picnic, it seems.
Sure.
Most of those people got kicked off, so presumably the next batch of people are like definitely more intense.
But yeah. Gotta know what the stakes are, though.
Rob, what do you got for me?
I think this is an easy top third. I liked the documentary part of it. I liked the reality part of it. I'm definitely interested to see what happens to some of the people going forward. I want to see more being surprised with gunfire. It's great.
Is this top of the top?
Maybe.
We got one top of the top last week.
I heard.
Insanity.
It was insanity.
Max,
possibly unprecedented.
Max, what do you got for me?
Top third show, bottom of the top. I think the subject matter is really cool. One of my favorite World War II things is an SOE operation, but it doesn't really grab me as a challengey show.
It's not supposed to be.
I'm just saying, it doesn't grab me. I don't need to watch the rest. I'd rather go watch something on History Channel, but good History Channel, not bad.
What History Channel? The one that
circa 2004,
Ancient
the
Aliens?
World War II channel.
Ancient Aliens. Noah, give me your ranking.
Easy top third. Middle bottom of the top, but easy.
Middle bottom of the top.
Oh no. Okay. You're gonna have to choose one.
Bottom.
Okay.
Bottom of the top third.
Sorry.
The 9-point scale is expanding.
The
We have an 81-point scale now, guys.
Oh.
Yeah, what the hesitation I have about the show, it is filmed like a documentary, which makes it kind of dry. And so it's dependent on being really fast, which they done well in episode 1. But if that starts to lag, they got to use some American reality TV show tactics to keep people engaged.
All right.
There's in so much other media about people going through basic training or training for the military. There's so much about it that is the interaction between the people who are going through the training and the bonds that they form and the fights that they have, and not seeing a lot of that in the show yet. I feel that's kind of, and I don't want to say that that's just bringing house drama into this, but I think that you need to have some of those relationships for it to work a little bit better.
I just don't think it's that long. I
Yeah.
think this is filmed at max over a week. So they're gonna make some bonds, but not in the first day or two.
Yeah.
So maybe as the show goes on.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no ham. Very little ham.
I feel very similar to last week for this week. I really enjoyed the show, but I also kind of wanted to go on my phone for some of it. It was entertaining, but not that entertaining. And I kind of want to put it in the middle third, but I do think I'll put it in the same spot as last week, bottom of the top. because I do think that there's only 5 episodes. It's going to keep moving, and there's more to it. And I would definitely pop it on while I'm doing something else for sure. Unlike last week, where I don't think I would really pop that on again.
Yep.
And there you go, guys.
Unanimous again.
I know, it's crazy.
Killing it.
Spending too much time watching reality shows together.
So, a topic that we brought up last week, I wanted to get Rob and Max's opinions
Hit me.
on since they
Okay.
weren't in. Do you think you guys didn't watch The Deadliest Catch?
It's
I've,
real
like,
tough
seen
for
an
Max
episode.
to answer this without having seen the show or listened to the podcast. But
Just hit me.
The question is The Deadliest Catch a reality show or not? I say it's a documentary and not a reality show, but I was outvoted.
Well, okay, here's the thing. Did the producers sort of set up the stage?
No, that's what I'm saying. All these people are going out boating they're going to go crabbing regardless.
I'm not sure it's regardless.
I think 90% of the people
Like-
doing this are going out because that's what they were going to do anyway.
That captain by far hasn't like enough money right now, unless he's making that reality money, and that's like
Sure, Sig Hansen, the top guy on the show, sure, he might not be doing it. But just because he's on the show, he'll keep going out, sure.
long story
Does that
short.
make it not a documentary?
Chris, nobody can answer this. It's up.
I'm
It's left to the
we are
viewer
a
as an
reality show
observation.
podcast.
We're not a documentary podcast.
Yeah, so that's why it's somewhat into question. Like, who cares if you're watching a reality show or a documentary?
Is documental a reality show?
Yes,
100%.
because the producers set that up.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I say it's not. Rob,
so I took some time to think about this. I came up with a couple things to bring up. So first is I want to first answer with a Westworld reference.
Oh.
So in season 1, do you remember what Angela says
Yeah.
when William asks her, "Are you real?"
If you can't tell, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So it's like, why is it important if it's a documentary or not? What?
it's not important. That's why we kept trying to move on from it. I was just
You're the one who's definitely not moving on from it.
I was curious. I wanted to broach it as a topic.
Because like we've talked about, like we don't want to do game shows, but I think part of that is that game shows aren't interesting to talk about. It's like these are the rules of the game show, and then like the game shows just because there's just like different people watch them do the thing. But so then my second thing to bring up was I talked about like documentary versus reality show, and like is it more for entertainment? Is it more for something to set up? And I thought about, have you seen The Jinx?
Yeah.
So The Jinx is definitely entertaining, and it definitely has things that were much more like set up by like the way the Bruce set it up than just a documentary. But I think it's definitely a documentary. And if it's not, we got to do The Jinx. Oh my
That's what I'm
god!
saying. You're opening us up to like longer form. Like the reason why we don't do documentaries generally is because they're just like generally movies, right? They're generally only like 2 hours long.
We've done movies. Just saying.
We've done
Multiple movies.
a couple movies, and I'm just like, there's not that many long form documentaries that are like close enough to a reality show.
Is Serial a reality show?
Like I just don't know what I just
No.
so like
Definitely not.
the reason it comes up is because the reality show definition that I've been using is as long as the producers have to be setting up the situations and have involvement in the show. So the producers aren't setting up these crabbing vessels. They have nothing to do with them. They're just, putting cameras on them and paying them to be on the show.
Chris, I'm going to be brutal right here. Do you care?
I have the exact same question. Why do we care?
Apparently I do. I'm just saying that we don't have a definition of reality TV for the podcast.
You got to stop questioning the nature of your reality.
Yeah, it's a hard question for sure.
Like we did the same thing with like Finding Bigfoot. was it a reality show because it seems like it's real fake.
That's in the other direction. The producers have set it up too much.
Yeah.
Like, it's,
I don't think they were writing lines for them. So like, I think that's once they start like written lines, I think that you too far.
Yeah,
so
they-
like,
yeah.
so then you get into like Siesta Key territory.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have the other spectrum, right?
Like-
So you have documentary on one side, reality in the middle, and then produced on the other side of the spectrum.
Yeah.
You get Laguna Beach and the hills and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think the way I would sum it up is that it's not a line, it's a spectrum. And so you can be, I'm in the documentary reality side of things and it's kind of unclear. That's fine. And that's how I would wrap
Yeah.
it up.
All right.
I like
yeah,
it.
it's not black and white.
Harrison.
Yes.
Hit me. Hit it. Give it to me.
Oh boy. Should we talk about the challenge?
I mean, what else do we talk about on this show?
Are you caught up with the challenge?
I am caught up.
You're caught up with the challenge. Okay, so there's a couple of things that are probably, so we didn't get to talk about last week's episode. There's probably a couple of things worth talking about. First is probably the elimination from last week. So it was Kaylee and Cam versus Pauly and Natalie. And one of the weird things about this season has really been because they have chosen to do teams that are all girls, all guys, and mixed guys plus girls, they've had to kind of get a little bit creative with how they balance some of the challenges. Like, in previous seasons, they've kind of always had things where, like, you know, hey, like if there's some challenge where like you're carrying some heavy thing, like the girls like carry something that's a little bit less heavy, but they've generally been competing against other women who are are doing the same challenge that they're doing. It got a little bit weird here because it was basically Pauly competing directly against Cam, and the challenge was they were both like staked like in the middle of this like pit, like kind of like sand arena, and they had like bungee cords strapped to their back, and the tension on Pauly's bungee cords seemed to be significantly higher than the tension on Cam's, which you would expect them to have to do some balancing there, but it was like to the point where like basically the challenge is you have to pick up these big puzzle pieces and then like give them to your partner who's like standing in this cage and they have to assemble this puzzle. And like Pauly seems like he's a reasonably in shape dude, but he's
no
pretty
killer
much-
Cam though.
He's pretty much not able to get to the cage like at all with these pieces. And Cam, while like she's super athletic and she did a good job on it, like was able to pretty much easily just stand on her own like where the cage was. Like there was a pretty big imbalance on some of that stuff. So I thought I would at least bring that up. Is like I'm not sure how you solve that problem when you have guys competing directly against girls in that way, but
It definitely seemed like Cam was able to help with the puzzle, whereas like the other guy was like couldn't even see anything. He was
Yeah.
so far he couldn't get anywhere close.
for sure. So that was a little bit weird. We'll see how they handle that as the season goes on. But so that was one thing.
So this was Crazy Kaylee, right?
That was Crazy Kaylee.
Who's still in?
Took home a W. Yeah, for sure.
Alright.
Still in. All kinds of crazy stuff going on there. And then the other thing to talk about, which kind of got pushed forward in this week's episode, is the Redemption House. So there's
They really got
Chris's favorite thing, the Redemption House, is back again this
So
season. So they had like the episode where they brought all the Redemption House people back in. Natalie and Pauly had just been thrown into the Redemption House and are causing all kinds of problems with people, basically. And so they have this redemption challenge, and some other Big Brother people end up getting back into the house, but Natalie and Pauly end up getting sent back into the redemption house for more time there.
There was 8 people in the Redemption House, right?
Yeah, so there were 4 teams.
Yeah.
One team got to go back into the main house, one team got to go back into the redemption house, and 2 teams got eliminated, basically.
It was
And
a whole episode
It was, yeah.
to eliminate 2 teams. 4 teams were already eliminated.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
The pace of the show is miserable.
Yeah.
But it was so Pauly has basically gone like scorched earth strategy at this point, and so there's this guy in the house, Brad, and his current girlfriend Brittany was in the redemption house with her ex-boyfriend is her teammate basically, and now Paulie, like, as he's leaving the arena, is basically shouting at Brad that like Brittany's fucking this other guy, and like Brad's like, oh, like whatever. So like he's clearly trying to stir up some shit. We'll see how it goes, but
He's a whiny little piss baby.
yeah, no, he
He sucks.
does not seem like someone I'd like to hang out with, I would say.
This last episode of the challenge is so bad.
So,
I don't know, man. I thought it was pretty good.
Chris, I would say take 2 weeks off, and then like once more people are off, it will get to like good challenges.
I still think that the show, this whole Redemption House needs to end.
Nah, dude, Redemption House is great.
I love the Redemption House.
I don't mind the Redemption House. I just don't like the amount of time it's given. Like this whole last episode, Rob, nothing happened.
That's not
They
true.
just
The
showed a
House.
Redemption House. It was 50 minutes of Redemption House and one elimination. That was it of the Redemption House. So nothing in the actual house happened.
Yeah.
Like the people actually have a chance of winning.
There was some
Got
house
no,
drama.
very little screen time. So dumb.
Would you describe this as a bottle episode of the challenge?
Yes. They're like, yeah, we got this Redemption House. Every like 3 episodes, we're going to spend time with these 8 people, and only 2 of them have any chance of winning. So you're only going to get all this time, and 6 of these people are just going to be done.
I don't know. I mean, I think that it adds a good mechanic to the game, and I think that, I mean, I've said this before, but one of my favorite things about the Redemption House is just watching all the people in there slowly just lose their minds because there's nothing to do in this house and they can't leave. Like there was this is like one of the Big Brother people, when they basically said that like one of the teams was going to be going back to the Redemption House, she looks terrified. She's like, I can't go back there. She's like, send me home. I cannot go back to the Redemption House. So I just think that's kind of funny.
But I want to see the team challenge, and I want to see the elimination.
Oh, I get it.
I want to see the challenge. I don't want to see this other bullshit.
Yeah.
Like I
totally
don't
get
mind
it.
the drama, but that's not like necessarily why I watch the show.
Yeah.
And the producers definitely have a different show in mind. That's
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. I see that. But yeah, I think the season's going pretty well so far from my point of view. But yeah.
Are Bananas and Big Tone still your favorites?
I mean, they're looking pretty strong. I haven't seen a lot of other teams. Maybe
Maybe if
Brad
the
plus-
show actually had all the teams on instead of this Redemption House teams, he would have an opinion on teams.
I would say Brad plus Kyle's probably another strong team. They're looking pretty good.
Chris, tell me how you really
I'm
feel.
shaking my head on this one.
What else have people
Redemption
been watching?
House for life.
Orange is the New Black came back on Monday, so I watched a couple episodes of that. It's pretty good so far. I really just like the ensemble and getting into these people's lives. It's pretty fun.
This season 5 or 6?
6.
That's
Yeah.
nuts.
Yeah.
I haven't watched since like 2 or 3.
Yeah, season 2 or 3 like kind of turned me off. I don't know, it just wasn't at season 1 was really good.
Yeah, it changed.
hold up.
It definitely changed from season 1. Like season 1 was all about Piper, and then
Yeah,
it
and
kind of slowly became about everyone in the prison.
because everyone else is more interesting than her.
Yeah, definitely. Season 5 was really interesting because there was this giant riot, and like the whole
Spoilers.
season was about the whole season was about this riot.
That's kind of cool.
And
Yeah.
now season 6 is about the aftermath of the riot, it's like kind of setting up some sort of mystery, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's
All right.
very different than the other seasons. So,
Cool.
Who are like the key characters now?
I mean, you still Piper's still in it.
All right.
I don't remember a lot of people's names, to be honest. Red is still a big character.
Okay.
There's a bunch of black women still are big characters, but I never remember anyone's names.
The Crazy Eyes one?
Yeah, Crazy Eyes is definitely a huge character still.
All right.
The person from American Pie is still a pretty good character. Pretty big character.
Jason Biggs.
No, not Jason Biggs.
He was the fucking boyfriend of the first
Yeah,
I
season,
know,
wasn't
and
he?
they
I
wrote.
know, I
The
know.
American Pie person in
There's another American
Black.
Pie.
Yeah.
The girl with the red curly hair.
The red curly hair.
Yeah.
I
2
just
American
sound
Pie
terrible
people in the show.
names.
Yeah.
That's why I'm never going to make that SOE program. Can't remember anyone's names. But overall, I mean, I've liked the show over like the entire run. So
It's pretty good.
if you've dropped off, I'm not going to convince you to come back.
Yeah. I found the show called Roast Battle. So
Roast battle?
Yeah,
The
Oh, okay.
I've heard of
Central one?
this.
yeah. Pretty good. So obviously they do like the roast of Justin Bieber and the roast of whoever else, right? They started, I guess, 2 years ago, where two comedians get on stage and they just roast each other. So
It's like a rap battle for stand up.
it's exactly what it is.
Oh man.
Is it
Yeah.
is it a reality show?
Nah, it's a game show more. So
Competition reality.
Do they have like Pusha T and Drake on this?
no, they do have a lot of celebrities that are like judges or seen in the audience of the show. No, but two comedians get on stage. They each get like 4 jokes to make fun of the other person. And it's like, how deep and scarring can you get to make fun of this other person?
All right.
It seems like they get like a little profile about them before the show, and then they just pick those things out and they kind of just, how do they really drill in?
I mean, you kind of got to know, right?
Not really. You see what the comedians start to do, and like the jokes they present about that person. Right. So, for example, they know they're a comedian, and so sometimes they'll have jokes that are just like your comedy sucks.
Oh
Right.
shit.
So you don't, or they do a lot of race jokes. They do a lot of body jokes, like short, tall, fat, skinny. Like they're pretty, or they do a lot of jokes about their parents being dead, which is odd. A very odd theme throughout the show, which goes back to like, I wonder the profile they get, which like probably calls out parents alive or dead.
Crazy.
They're on season 3. It just started. Yeah, it's well worth the time.
All right.
Anyone else got anything they want to shout out?
I was watching Neon Pink is the New Black, aka Glow.
Oh yeah.
Pretty good.
Very similar show, actually.
Yeah. Actually, one of the episodes is like written by Genji Kohan, so
Who's that?
she's the Weeds / Orange is the New Black lady.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So yeah, very similar show. Like it.
I'm not caught up on it, but I've been watching Succession on HBO. That's been pretty good so far. I would definitely recommend checking that out.
TheRinger.com has really gotten into that show.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I'm caught up on the show.
Yeah.
I'd say the first 2 episodes, it's like, oh man, is this really it? Once you get past that, it gets good.
Yeah.
The old guy reminds me of Papa Delos.
Oh,
I
yeah.
also looked up if that was Papadelos
Yeah.
from the commercial.
I've actually heard Castle Rock is very similar to Succession.
Ooh, okay.
Like a small town mystery kind of show.
Cool.
This isn't a small town mystery though.
Or maybe it's a different show. I've
Could
been
be a
watching
different
Castle
show.
Rock.
There's something else that's like Castle Rock.
Something else is like Castle Rock. Do you know what it is?
No.
I've been watching Castle Rock, and I've been really enjoying it.
HBO does have a new show coming up that's like a small town
Oh.
mystery.
Is that Sharp Objects?
Sharp
That one?
Objects.
That's, Sorry, I'm
All good.
I thought you were just trying to do a really clever segue to mention Castle Rock.
I was trying to, but it didn't work out.
Didn't work out.
Incorrect segue.
Can't believe they made a sequel to School of Rock.
Castle of Rock.
All right, guys.
Was there any show you wanted to reevaluate the rating of, or are you good?
Oh, well, I was bringing up in the thread today. So somebody posted the top 100 episodes of the decade,
Ringer.com.
theringer.com. And one episode like 25 is like Vanderpump Rules, which is, and I thought that we thought very highly of, but apparently we all put it in the middle tier. Which I thought the show was pretty enjoyable. Now I don't know if I would put it above where I put it at the time, but like,
No official upgrade?
no,
Did you
Oh.
read what that Vanderpump Rules episode was about?
no.
This guy named Jax cheats on his girlfriend. It's the same guy like 6 seasons ahead of when we watched.
Yeah, Jax is
I remember
definitely.
Jax.
I remember him in the.
And they talked about how Jax cheats on people all the time.
Oh, no.
So it checks out.
Checks out.
We definitely need to do some of the episodes on that list, though. I think
Yeah, we'll check it
There's
out.
like a Top Chef. If we ever do Top Chef, like we should definitely just pick what somebody thinks is the best episode of Top Chef.
Yeah.
It's not 100 reality shows, right? It's just 100
No, it's
shows.
just
100 shows.
It's 100 TV show top 100 TV shows of the decade.
TV episodes.
TV episodes.
There were like a handful of reality episodes in there.
Oh,
There
okay.
was way more than that.
It
There's
was
like
final episode of season 1 of Survivor.
there was like
there.
Jersey Shore was
season
pretty high.
season 1, episode 1.
Jersey
yeah.
Shore, yeah.
Like of the 100 episodes, at least like 20, 30 of them were reality shows, and I'm like,
That seems questionable.
right?
Yeah, totally.
There were a lot in there.
I think that a lot of them are just kind of based on like what influences today's TV the most, and not necessarily the best episodes of TV.
It's definitely best plus cultural impact.
It seems more of a cultural impact list than an actual
like,
like best list.
What are the 100 episodes of TV in the last decade that people talked about the most? It's
And it also seems
Yeah.
like one episode per show, so you can't have like, well, all the episodes of Breaking Bad are like the top like 20.
yeah.
or whatever.
Right,
Seemed like they had
right.
that rule.
So like, you know, if you go by like top 100 shows and then you just pick the best one, there's definitely some reality shows in there for sure,
Yeah.
but probably not as high up. I probably wouldn't put them nearly as high as they did, but you should definitely check that out.
They did have the challenge on the list though.
What number?
It was the finale of Rivals 3 when Bananas took that $250,000 from his partner.
Spoilers.
Yeah,
No,
well-
what episode of the 100? What?
Oh,
what
it was
nu-
like it was 40 something. Yeah,
There you go.
That is an episode you've told us about.
it's iconic.
It is iconic.
All right. Well, you can find us on Facebook.com/Who Put This On. You can find us on Twitter @Who Put This On. Email us questions and suggestions at whoputthison@gmail.com. And please rate us on iTunes. And we'll see you guys next time.